That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The latest chapter into a strange valley encounter.
3 months ago tonight, something strange happened in the skies over Arizona that still hasn't been fully explained. And in reality, we may never know exactly what happened that night. Tonight, first on Fox, we hear from a Phoenix family who may have been closer to whatever it was in the sky, closer than anyone else.
It was like that. It was so big.
You couldn't even hear the wind. It was so quiet. It was just... It just didn't even do anything. It just came through.
These images of what they saw are made on a computer. They're a combination of digital photos of the landscape taken by Lee and computer drawings of the objects his family saw in the sky.
You know, it was just like, my God, how big is this thing? It didn't seem threatening because when it was right overhead and we couldn't hear a sound, it was like you're just awestruck.
Oh, look at them.
I got that one on video.
There's 4 of them. Look at there's 3 of them all together.
I got the third one.
It was described by witnesses as larger than a football field and silent. He held a news conference after the Phoenix lights to announce the mystery had been solved.
And now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party. Don't get him too close to me, please.
In the alien costume, the governor's chief of staff.
Now, this just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious. And I suspect that unless the Defense Department proves us otherwise, that it was probably some form of an alien spacecraft. I'm Fife Symington. In 1997, during my second term as governor of Arizona, I saw something that defied logic and challenged my reality. I witnessed a massive delta-shaped craft that silently navigated over the Squaw Peak area. I still don't know what it was. As a pilot and a former Air Force officer, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object that I'd ever seen.
A vast armada of UFOs flying in formation at extremely high altitudes.
And you said you saw literally hundreds of unidentifiable flying objects.
Yes, they were flying quite high. How high we couldn't tell because we couldn't get anywhere near their altitude. But they were either very large craft way up or smaller craft still well above what we could get to. It was a saucer, came flying over their heads, put down 3 little landing gear and landed right out on the dry lake bed. And they picked up their cameras and started over toward it, filming as they went. And when they got in fairly close to it, it lifted up, put the gear back in the wheel wells, tipped up, and took off at a great rate of speed.
Because of my openness to these things, I did have many of the old-timers in the military and in the intelligence community over the years wanting to get it off their chest before they passed away, allowed me to interview them and talk to them about it. And so my ideas became fairly well solidified in the fact we've been visited.
Apollo 11 wasn't alone in space.
There was something out there that was close enough to be observed, and what could it be?
Traveling alongside Apollo 11 was a mysterious object.
Now, obviously, the 3 of us were not going to blurt out, "Hey, Houston, we got something moving alongside of us, and we don't know what it is. You know, can you tell us what it is?" We weren't about to do that, because we know that those transmissions would be heard by all sorts of people, and who knows what somebody would have demanded that we turn back because of aliens or whatever the reason is. So we didn't do that.
Together, we can explore the moon and develop the moon. We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there?
And he said that the United States forces, in cooperation with the extraterrestrials, had developed both zero-point energy and cold fusion. And these are the things people have been searching for forever. It's sort of like making gold out of lead, which I'm told they can do now too if they want to. So it's there, and even if it isn't, from what I know of the extraterrestrials, secondhand, from people who have talked to them and visited them and been abducted by them, they want us to save our planet. They would give it to us if the United States Air Force would stop shooting at them. But we've got to persuade the Americans that we don't want a world where somebody's got to master the world by armed force. We want a world where we change our priorities and get rid of these huge defense expenditures and use the money to provide food and shelter and education and clothing for people that don't have any. A different kind of world altogether than what we've had. And that they shouldn't take the extraterrestrials on for size, which they seem determined to do. But this is an interesting point. General Eisenhower said, beware of the industrial military complex. What he was really referring to was the fact that he had lost control of ET file. Nelson Rockefeller, it's an interesting name, he had hired him to work out who would run the thing. And a lot of the responsibility was turned over to private enterprise. So that the government of the United States has lost control of a whole pile of stuff that's going on out there. The President of the United States doesn't even know what's going on out there. And if he wanted to know, they would just say, Mr. President, you don't have clearance for that project. This is, what it is. But getting back to the point, either the technology exists, which I believe, or they would give it to us if we treat them like friendly neighbors and collaborators in the cosmos instead of as enemies that they were originally designated. Then there's no doubt that we could change the system in 10 years. Which is about what we have to do if we change the banking system too. So we've got the money in order to be able to do it.